What if I told you there's an energy source that powers the entire universe? It's clean, virtually limitless, and could be the key to solving our climate crisis. For decades, it's been the holy grail of science. It's called fusion power. You've probably heard the famous joke, fusion power is always 30 years away. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this incredible quest. We'll break down what fusion is, why it's so difficult, the recent breakthroughs that have the world buzzing, and why we might be closer than ever to a future powered by miniature stars on Earth. So, let's start with the basics. You know about nuclear fission, right? It's what powers our current nuclear plants. Fission is when a large, unstable atom, like uranium, splits apart, releasing energy. Fusion is the opposite. It's when two light atomic nuclei combine, or fuse, to form a single, heavier nucleus. This process releases a staggering amount of energy. It's the very same process that powers our sun and all the stars in the cosmos. The fuel for this reaction on Earth is typically two isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. Deuterium is incredibly abundant, you can find it in seawater. And tritium can be made right inside the reactor from another common element, lithium. The tiny amount of mass that is lost during this fusion reaction is converted directly into a massive amount of energy, following Einstein's famous equation, E=mc2. A single kilogram of fusion fuel could provide the same energy as 10 million kilograms of fossil fuel. So, if it's so powerful and the fuel is so abundant, why don't we have it already? The challenge is immense. To get these atoms to fuse, you have to recreate the conditions found inside a star's core, right here on Earth. This requires three things, often called the fusion triple product: extreme temperature. We're talking over 100 million degrees Celsius. That's more than 6 times hotter than the center of the sun. At these temperatures, matter turns into a superheated, charged gas called plasma. High density, you need to squeeze the plasma particles together so they collide frequently. Sufficient confinement time, you have to hold that super hot plasma in place for long enough for the fusion reactions to occur. And this is where the real engineering nightmare begins. No physical material can contain a 100 million degree plasma. So, scientists have developed two main approaches to bottle this miniature star. The first and most well-known approach is magnetic confinement. The star of this show is the tokamak, a donut-shaped magnetic chamber that uses powerful magnetic fields to contain and control the plasma. The biggest project in the world using this method is ITER, the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, being built in France. ITER is designed to be the first fusion device to produce more energy than it consumes, a concept known as break-even. The second approach is inertial confinement. This is a totally different game. Instead of magnets, powerful lasers are used to compress and heat a tiny pellet of fusion fuel. The goal is to create conditions so extreme that the fuel ignites and fuses before it can fly apart. This is the method behind the recent, historic breakthrough in the US. For the first time in history, scientists at the National Ignition Facility, NIF, at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory achieved fusion ignition. In December 2022, they fired 192 lasers at a tiny fuel pellet and produced more energy from the fusion reaction than the laser energy they put in. This was a massive scientific milestone. It proved, once and for all, that controlled fusion is not just a theoretical possibility, it's a reality. Since then, they have continued to improve the energy yield, setting new records. This wasn't a power plant, but it was the Wright brothers moment for fusion. It's the proof of concept that changes everything. This breakthrough has fueled a new kind of energy race, and this time, the private sector is in the lead. We're seeing billions of dollars in investment pouring into fusion startups. They're not just building on the government's work, they're innovating with new materials, new designs, and even new types of fusion. Companies like Commonwealth Fusion Systems are using new high-temperature superconducting magnets to create smaller, more efficient tokamaks. Helion Energy is developing a different kind of pulsed reactor, with the goal of being able to sell power directly to the grid in the next few years. This shift from a purely scientific pursuit to a commercial endeavor is a major reason why many people believe that 30 years away is now a thing of the past. But let's be realistic. The scientific challenge of creating fusion has been met, but the engineering challenge of building a viable, commercial power plant is still immense. Here are the biggest hurdles: materials science. The intense bombardment of high-energy neutrons from the fusion reaction can damage and weaken the reactor's walls over time. We need to develop new, super-resilient materials that can withstand this punishment for years. Tritium production. Tritium is rare in nature, so a commercial reactor will have to breed its own, using the neutrons from the fusion reaction and a blanket of lithium. This is a complex and crucial part of the design. Efficiency. We need to get significantly more energy out than we put in. The goal is not just break-even, but a system that can generate enough surplus electricity to power homes and businesses. Despite these challenges, the prize is worth the effort. Think about the advantages: no greenhouse gases, the only byproduct of fusion is helium, a harmless, inert gas. It's a truly carbon-free energy source. Safe by design. A runaway chain reaction is impossible. If anything goes wrong, if the plasma loses its temperature or confinement, the reaction simply stops. There's no risk of a meltdown. Abundant fuel. The fuel is sourced from seawater and lithium, which is plentiful. We have enough to power human civilization for millions of years. Less radioactive waste. Unlike fission, there is no high-level, long-lived nuclear waste. The reactor components become mildly radioactive, but the waste decays to safe levels in about 100 years, a fraction of the time needed for fission waste. The decades-long quest for fusion is finally entering a new and exciting phase. We are moving from if to when. The recent breakthroughs, combined with a surge of private investment, are turning science fiction into a very real possibility. While there is still hard work ahead, the promise of a future powered by clean, safe, and virtually limitless energy is closer than ever.